What's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing part 2 for the Q&As for this week. We're going to be focusing and talking about whether or not we think Morgan's going to return for the mid-season finale, and then getting into the rest of your guys' questions. And I hope you're all staying warm this winter. Most places are getting snow now, so I've got my trusty Canadian toque, my hat, just because my ears, I tend to get ear infections when it gets really cold. Even if it's a bit warmer inside, just if there's any kind of draft, I get sick. So try to stay warm. Yeah, you guys do the same, and be safe if you're driving around. Be careful in the snow and all that. Do what you guys got to do to stay safe. So yeah, that's pretty much the most common question I've been getting recently, is my thoughts on Morgan returning, when it's going to be. Did a video on that already, so decided to include it in this Q&A about the mid-season finale. Will we see Morgan return for the mid-season finale? Now, the reason why this is a discussion or people are talking about it is because I believe he is listed on the IMDb for the mid-season finale for Coda. Does that mean anything? No, it doesn't. In the past, before season 3, I've had people come to me and say, oh, this person's on it, or that person's on it, or IMDb is not law. It's not 100% for sure this is what's going to happen just because someone's listed there. In fact, we've had many occasions where characters like, I believe it was the governor's, was it Lily, the governor's chick in season 4, because season 3 was Andrea. Man, he went through he went through quite a few females. Tara's sister, I think it was Lily. She was supposed to return for the season finale or something like that, or she was listed, and it never happened. So we know obviously that yeah, it's not 100% accurate just because the wiki says, or even, yeah, the wiki or IMDb, just because it says that they're going to be in that episode does not necessarily mean they will actually be in the episode. So to address the question very basically, do I think he's going to return for the mid-season finale? Based on timing, no, I don't think so. If you look at the timing that, yes, the characters, Rick and the others, the survivors, they left Terminus when they were at the sign. It was a little while ago now, but not that long. When Morgan sees the sign, there's plant growth there. If you guys missed my time skip video about the things you missed, I did it for the premiere. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably want to click the channel. Go to the channel, look up the premiere. It was about a month ago now, right? Well, about a month and a half, because we're in episode 7. So about a month and a half ago when it premiered, I did a video that week talking about things you missed. In it, we were able to conclude based on a picture comparison between the time when Morgan gets to the sign and the time that Rick writes "No Sanctuary" on the sign. Morgan sees plant growth there. Then he sees the hacks on the tree, and then he follows the path. But that has got to be at least weeks to months behind Rick's crew, because if you look at it, the plant growth, it takes a while for plants to grow that much compared to like the amount of time. So it would at least be a few weeks to a month or more. Has it been a few weeks to a month or more since the characters left Terminus? I say no. We know it's been at least a few days. Let's consider that they fought the Hunters, which would be maybe a few days and nights. Daryl returns after all that nonsense. Beth and and trying to save Beth with Carol getting captured, returns with Noah. So we can say probably that's only been really maybe 3-4 days, something like that. Then of course you have Abraham's group and what's going on with them in the meantime since they left. So I would say for the most part we're looking at really only maybe a few days, 3, 4, 5 days since they were at the sign, right? After fighting the termites, everything else that's happened. It's only been, I wouldn't even say a week yet. So there's no way it would make sense for Morgan to be there at this time. Because Rick's group is not going to waste any time in trying to save Carol, they'll also be attacking Dawn's group at the hospital, I would think, in Atlanta, pretty much right away. They're going to take her by surprise. We've heard it in the promo and the sneak peek. Rick talking about, they won't be expecting us. We're going to, we'll go at, I think he says we'll leave at dark or something like that. Or, they're going to take them by surprise. They're going to attack very quickly, it looks like to me. So in terms of will Morgan just show up all of a sudden, unless we get a time skip, unless there's a time skip in the episodes, I doubt it. If he did, the timing wouldn't make sense. Now, not that The Walking Dead always does, right? It doesn't always, it's not always to a T, because of course you have characters wearing jackets and stuff. It's seeming to be fall and all the, when they're filming and that, and then, they'll say that, okay, well, this amount of time, it's only been about a year to a year and a half since the zombie apocalypse started. When if you look at the actual clothing and the the environments and everything, you can estimate they've been through at least a couple winters, right? So I'm not saying this is 100% concrete for sure, but I would say the likelihood is that the way they filmed it was on purpose, that the tree had more growth. That would give us a sense of time, and I think it's too soon for Morgan to return right now. I don't think it makes sense, even though I want him to. Don't get me wrong; he's one of my favorite characters in the entire series. I've even thought about maybe making a custom figure and adding him to the top here, because he's one of my absolute favorite Walking Dead characters. Can't get enough of him. Can't wait till he returns. But I'm just doing some logically, we're just analyzing this here, and we're coming to the conclusion that it hasn't been enough time. So I don't think he's going to return, even though I want him to. If he does, hey, great. We'll throw out the plant growth logic out the window and whatever, great. But based on that, I would say we're looking at closer to the second half to sometime maybe in the late second half of the season. So there's my thoughts on that one. I wish, but it doesn't look like it right now. The next one is actually kind of similar, and that's why I included it next. And this is from Karlman, and he says, do you think Abraham's group will return in time to join Rick's group for the epic battle against Dawn and her group? So that's another good question. Well, I would assume that Abraham's group is going to start heading back towards the church. However, they may not. Glenn and the others are like, well, this mission is bogus, so we're going to go back for sure. We're going to look for Rick. But they may decide, hey, they would have already left by now, so let's not go back to the church. Let's go to the destination anyway, or something. But to me, it makes more sense that they'd go back to the church. So will they be back in time to join Rick's group and the others? I doubt it. If they do get back, it would be like at the close to the end of the battle, because Rick's group has just left. That's episode 7. Abraham's group may return by the end of episode 7 to episode 8 range. They may get back, and they may get there in time for the ending of that battle, or to help out if we get some kind of a stalemate, because we could get into a situation where Rick's group has to stake the place out, wait for the right time, and they have to stay inside of a building. If they have to stay somewhere close to the hospital for over a day or so, it's possible that Abraham's group could meet up with them then. But to me, it doesn't sound like it. It looks like the odds are they probably will not return in time to help the rest of Rick's group fight off this, the hospital with Dawn and Grady and all that. So, and rescue Carol and Beth. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. They'll probably return in episode 9, most likely maybe 10. To the groups will recombine, or later on if they don't even do that right away. We'll have to see how it goes. Next one's from Red October and Arnica 89. Best I can do, man, for your name, or not necessarily man, or woman, whatever. Viewer. Who will kill Dawn? Yeah. Okay. So who will kill Dawn, man? That's a tough one. I would think it makes most sense for Beth to kill Dawn. I would think so. But it could even be Dr. Stevens, or somebody who's a part of Dawn's group. So either Beth, Carol, maybe, but we haven't seen enough development and animosity between the two yet for that to make sense. It could be Rick too, or somebody like that. Daryl could that make sense? Or maybe she'll just run away or something. Who knows? I mean, we really don't know what to expect from Dawn. We know a bit about her character, and that she's a leader of this group. But is it possible she could just say screw it if the group's losing or something, and she could just get the heck out of Dodge and just leave the place and just get away? Maybe they could use her again in the future of The Walking Dead. That makes sense. I mean, we really don't know what to expect from her, because she's a totally new character. I'll say that if she dies in the mid-season finale right away, that's a character that really wasn't used as much as she probably could have been. Could be like a Joe type situation, or honestly, Gareth and the termites, the hunters, they really weren't around for that long either. So I guess we'll have to see what happens with her. But I would go with probably Beth as most likely, then maybe Carol, then maybe Daryl, then maybe Rick, or even Noah. Right? Noah is a good call. That would make sense too, right? Because she didn't seem to treat him very well, and thinking he's weak and all that stuff. That would be a cool kind of storyline to develop. Maybe a flashback with Noah and how he got there could set that up and make sense. So I guess we'll have to see what they do with it. Next one's from Kirby Burt, and he or she asks, do you think that Tara will take the place of comic book Carol? I don't think anybody's going to take the place of comic book Carol right now. It would, if they were going to do that, it should have happened at the prison, right? Tara seems pretty positive, to tell you the truth. You know, after everything she's been through, she seems pretty happy. She seems pretty positive. So I don't know with her. I mean, maybe, you know, it could be. But I don't know. I mean, you know, she seems to have kind of a positive outlook now. So I don't think it'd be her if it was going to be anybody. Could it be Carol herself? Yeah, it could be. That makes sense that they could go that route. But I still, regardless of what happens with Carol in the TV series, she's still not the same character she was in the comic book series, no matter what her outcome is or what happens with her. She's not the same character. That's all there is to it. I've said it many times, so I won't elaborate on that. You guys already know what I think about that. Next one's from The Governor. He says, was wondering what your thoughts are on the large herd of walkers at the end of Self-Help, and do you think it is the herd from the comics? Well, I think it's one of them. There's a scene in the comics. I was checking over the trade the other day. Not in Fear the Hunters. It's the following one, I think. Here We Remain. No, not Here We Remain. It's Life Among Them. Yeah, Life Among Them, I think, the trade. And basically there's a scene where Rick goes, he looks down at a city, and he just sees the place is overrun with walkers. And then he just tells Carl, go back. So I think that's what they were looking at. They were looking at that scene. And also in that trade is where we find out that Eugene is not telling the truth. It's just under different circumstances. So I think that's the scene they were going for. I don't think it's the herd that they have to end up going through or getting chased by. No, I don't think so. But we may see that later on, unless they go back down the same path, which is possible. Next one's from John Osterman, and he says, hey, Trev, just thought I would give you an idea as to what the name crossed for the episode means. I think it might mean as in crossed paths. So, yeah, paths crossed. I personally thought it was that maybe Carol and Beth would, you know, try to act like Dawn can trust her, and then they would double cross her, right? That's what I was thinking. But it could mean that they cross paths or something like that. Also, it could mean, you know, with the hospital and the different cars and stuff, they have the crosses on them. You know, in the van and all that too. So it could mean that as well too. So there's a lot of different meanings, and until we see the episode, we really won't know. It's a self-help kind of thing. How could we know what self-help is going to be until we hear about the self-help section in that episode with Eugene? So that was funny. Yeah, so a lot of times you can't really predict the title. It could mean something. We have to wait and see what it points to, or no sanctuary, or wow, that's kind of explanatory. Or the A makes sense too. Next one is, what are your thoughts on the possibility that The Walking Dead may have already peaked in terms of TV viewing figures? Each episode of the season seems to only have around 1 million more viewers than last season, and as the seasons go on, it will lose viewers faster than it will gain them. This is from The Walking Ginger. Walking Ginger. Yeah, so good question, Walking Ginger. What do I think about the future of the show? Well, let's be honest first of all. The Walking Dead gets about 4 times as many views as it needs to produce, right? So they only need probably about, let's say, 3, 4, 5 million views an episode to keep The Walking Dead going and for us not to have to worry. It's getting about 16, 17 million, 15 million plus replays plus Talking Dead. It's just it's huge for AMC. Has it peaked? Have we seen the peak of The Walking Dead? I say no. I don't think so. And this is the reason why. Is because with the comic book series, at a point, I thought that at the end of the prison story arc was the best thing I'd ever read in the comic book, and nothing would be able to compare with it. Now, the last issue of that is my favorite issue of comic book series ever. When we see the final battle there, it still is. But there's so many great things that happen after that add to the series, that as people get more and more invested in the characters, like Rick and the others, I don't think they're going to stop watching. I don't think they're going to stop reading or continuing through, because it's really good, and it's good all the way through. It changes, it evolves, the story becomes different. It's not repetitive. It's not, there's almost no letdowns. It brings in new great characters, and we just get to see an incredible story, the best zombie apocalypse story ever. And people love zombies. Look at Z Nation. Z Nation just got confirmed for second season. The show is awful. Okay, wait. I do enjoy the episodes. Okay, so I really enjoy it. I really do enjoy Z Nation. But most people who watch it think it's just horrendous. They really do. Even though I do like it, I do enjoy it. But it's not, it's kind of like a more silly, fun thing. But people love zombies, right? And The Walking Dead is the best there is at zombies ever. So when will we see the peak of The Walking Dead? Honestly, I think it could just keep going. And then maybe around, season 7, season 8, season 9, 10, we'll probably see the peak around that. Last year with the channel, I thought my channel was going to be was as big as it was ever going to get, and was getting as many views as it was ever going to get off the Walking Dead videos. And that was when the season ended with about 80,000 views a day in the channel, right? And I thought, that's the most I'll ever get. I'll never get more than that. This season, when this season premiered with Terminus, the videos we're getting 100, or on a daily basis, 120,000 views a day. Is the size of the channel. So I thought about that thought process there that I had last year in the spring, where I said to myself, this is the most I'll ever get. I'll never get more than this. It will never go further than this. And it's just going to, shrink from here, or doom and gloom, this kind of thought pattern, right? And, obviously this season has proven me totally wrong, as it's done, 50%, 80,000 versus 120,000, it's additional 40,000 every day for the month. And that's continuing. That's continuing this month and most of this month. Maybe not as much as the first month, because the first 3 episodes of The Walking Dead season 5 were huge. This month's, these 3 episodes have not been as great. But still, there's growth there. And there's more people interested than people dropping off. As more people check it out, people who watch it, they tell me, man, I can't believe I didn't, watch this all the way through. This is amazing. This is incredible. So Game of Thrones is another example. People say the same thing with that. This character gets killed off. That character gets killed off. I'm going to stop watching. He's going to stop watching. She's going to stop watching. And even more people tune in every season. It just builds. As long as the quality's there, they will come. Build it and they will come. I have faith in Kirkman. I think he's the best writer that I've seen in comic books in a very, very long time. Him, maybe Grant Morrison, Jeff Johns. There's some guys in Marvel. I forget the name of the bald fat guy. What's his name? Damn it. Can't think off the top of my head. He was writing X-Men for a while. He's Marvel's best writer. He's amazing too. Not to take anything away from him. But, I believe in Kirkman. I think he knows what he's doing. He's creating an amazing story, and I don't really think that it can be screwed up. Based on what you have in the comics, it gives them an opportunity to even improve on that. You've got an amazing comic book series, my favorite of all time. You can take that, you can add to it, you can take things out. You can kind of revise it. When you create something and you write something or you do something, if you take it, you review it, and you improve it, it almost always gets better, unless you make a mistake at some point in that process. So, with the TV series, I think it's just going to keep building, man. At a point, will it peak? Yeah, but I don't think that's right now. I think we'll probably see that around season 7 to 10, and then at that point, people will say, okay, I've had enough, this type of thing, and they'll keep watching, or they'll watch casually, but they won't be as into it as they are right now. But no, I don't think the series is going to shrink. I think it's going to continue to grow. It hasn't peaked yet, I don't think. But we'll see. I could be wrong. Next one is from, when everything's going right, people just assume something's got to break and something's got to go wrong, right? It's just human nature. It's the reptile brain. It's just, fear, fear, fear all the time. Survival, survival, fear, fear, eating, fear, shelter. That's... the little they call it the drunken monkey in your head, always being afraid, always afraid, always afraid. It's going to get canceled. It's going to get canceled. You're crazy to think it's going to go on for this long. Optimism is not very common nowadays, unfortunately. Next question. So yeah, I think it's going to continue to grow. I believe in Robert Kirkman. So there you go. And AMC and Andrew Lincoln and all the rest of them, they do an amazing job. Next one's from Coral G, and he or she, probably a she, asks, hey Trev, question, it could be a he too though, question for your Q&A, are there any pairings, yeah it's a she, that you would like or would like to see happen in the show, e.g. or example, Carol and Daryl, Rick and Michonne, etc. Love your channel. Thanks, Coral. You can always tell the women. It's always a romantic question. So I'm surprised that there's so many women that love The Walking Dead, because my girlfriend, she's like, oh, the zombies are so scary. I just can't, give me nightmares. I can't watch it. It's like, sometimes she'll watch it, but I have to cover the zombies in the screen, right? So, yeah. And, so in terms of relationships, Rick and Michonne would love to see it. Hope that's what they do with those two because they're both badass and they're both awesome. I think that makes a lot of sense. Either that or if they're just very close in terms of they both are amazing friends, really, really close friends, like best friends type of thing. And same with Carl and Michonne too. Carol and Daryl, they're both such badasses. They make a lot of sense. But from episode 6, Consumed, I feel like they don't have much chemistry. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like the two of them, they don't have a whole lot in the way of chemistry. They've got this kind of, they slept together, right, in the house. But that would have been the best time to show, if they were going to show anything, that would have been the best time to do it. But I think as you see, with Daryl and how much he loves kids and the book and all that, it's kind of to let us know that Daryl is a pretty damaged person. He was not brought up in a great living, and now he's living in a zombie apocalypse. So he's pretty closed off. Carol doesn't want to get feelings for anybody because she's too afraid they're going to die, right? Which is something we've seen a lot because a lot of her people she cares about do die. So she doesn't want to do that, and kind of jinx herself, so to speak. So even if they have feelings for each other, it doesn't seem like that's going to work out. Daryl and Beth is kind of weird too. I don't know. Maybe they'll just keep Daryl not with anybody. I would like to see him either with Carol or Beth. Whoever survives this season, I think it makes sense. Probably Carol at best. But we'll have to. We'll have to see what they do, but it wouldn't surprise me if Daryl just all the way through the series never opened up to anybody because of the fact that he's had such a troubled life, right? There are people like that in the real world too. So not that it's a bad thing, that's their choice. If they don't want to be romantically with anybody, if they like being by themselves, they enjoy their own company, hey, that's their choice. Nothing against them for that. There's, that's totally normal for a lot of people. There's nothing weird about that. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's kind of what I think about that. Next one is from Emily Rejonin, and she asks, hi Trev, if Carol survives, could she or maybe Tara take Maggie's role as the leader of the Hilltop, since Maggie hasn't been that interesting this season? Yeah, they've got a lot of characters in the show, and people are complaining that certain characters that are their favorites haven't gotten any exposure, haven't gotten any time. I could definitely see Carol as the leader of her own community or doing something like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. With regards to Tara, I don't know. I don't really think so. But she's kind of young yet. That could be something in the future if she survives. We'll have to see what they do with her. I do think she's a fun character too. Maggie, maybe it's just because we have a lot of characters right now that she hasn't gotten much time. Plus, she's kind of, she kind of fills the role of the hot chick. So now we have Rosita. So now we have 2. So you don't really need 2. You know what I mean? So maybe, we'll see something happen with that, or we'll see Maggie, step up in that capacity. Yeah, definitely. Especially if something happens to Glenn. We'll have to see what they do with that. Next one's from Dom C. And Dom asks, we have not seen any reference to, nor have I seen any discussions pertaining to the house that Daryl and Beth found before she was abducted in season 4. What are your thoughts? Yeah, that's a good question, man. We haven't, have we? Like, Gorman and the others grabbed Beth from there. The dog shows up out of nowhere in a super weird way, like just a weird, like maybe that was the dog that lived there, but it somehow attracted all these zombies in with him, and it was just weird. Do I think Gorman trained a dog to do that on purpose? Man, that's well, police do have dogs, but he didn't seem like a German Shepherd to me. He didn't seem like a police dog, right? He was kind of scraggly, and he didn't look like he was well kept or anything. He wasn't a canine unit or anything. So yeah, maybe that's something that they kind of just put in there to kind of feed the story, and maybe we'll never see anything of it again. Or maybe it's a location we could see them go back to. Maybe Gorman had that set up as kind of like an outpost where they could go, they could stay when they were, I don't know, investigating or searching for stuff. That makes a lot of sense if they set it up in that capacity. But it was probably just luck that dog came up, and all the zombies came in and forced them to scramble, right? I think so. Even though it was well kept and everything like that, and you had people doing the embalming and all that, That's a tough one, man. Are they doing anything with that, or was it just to kind of foreshadow the Hunters and this new group and Father Gabriel? I don't know. A lot of us thought that's what we were going to see last season, and it never really, none of that really ever came to fruition. So I better call it here for this part, guys. I don't want to go on too long with each Q&A. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you like some of the questions. Still got a lot left, so maybe I'll have to even do 4 parts this weekend. We'll have to see how it goes. Anyway, I'll try to use like one topic at the beginning, so people who are interested can check that out, and then go into the other questions afterwards. Going to continue. Going to get started on the next one. It's Thursday right now, and I'm filming my day off, so I can get a lot of my work done on the channel. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all of these questions, what your thoughts are on all of them, and as always, you guys know what to do. Help me out, help the health of the channel, prevent the trolls, prevent the flaggers, down with the trolls, down with those people. Please thumb up the video. If you want to help support even further, share a favorite. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. I'll see you for tomorrow. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace.